Every year, she baked the most delicious cakes for everyone in the family. But on her own birthday, the oven stayed cold. No candles, no greetings. Just one forgotten woman and a slice of truth that would break the silence forever. Her name was Amy. Everyone in the neighborhood knew her as the kind, quiet woman who made amazing desserts. Birthdays in her home were legendary not because of balloons or gifts, but because of her cakes. For her husband's 50th birthday, triple layered chocolate fudge. For her eldest daughter's graduation, vanilla cream with homemade raspberry jam. For her youngest son, pineapple upside-down cake, his favorite since he was 5. But there was one birthday that always passed quietly, hers every year. On January 17th, Emmy would wake up early. She'd prepare breakfast, tidy the house, and wait silently. No one remembered. No one noticed. Once, her husband walked right past her with a bag of groceries and said, "Oh, is it the 17th today? I thought it was the 14th. Another year. Her daughter texted her in the evening, "Oh my God, was it your birthday? So sorry, work was crazy." Still, Emmy smiled. "It's okay, Beta. I know you're busy." But deep inside, something slowly chipped away each year. One winter morning, Emmy opened her old recipe book. On the first page, scribbled in faded ink, were the words, "Chocolate Walnut Delight, Emmy's favorite." She smiled and sighed. That day, she quietly walked to the bakery and bought one small slice of chocolate walnut cake. Just one slice. She placed it on a floral plate, lit a small tea candle in the middle, and whispered to herself, "Happy birthday, Emmy." Then she blew out the candle. Alone. But fate has a strange way of rewriting silence. That same evening, her neighbor's son, Rehan, who had recently returned from abroad, came by. He had always called her Emmy Auntie. He noticed the plate, the single candle, and her swollen eyes. "Did I miss someone's birthday?" he asked gently. Emmy smiled. "No, Beta. Just a quiet day." Rehan didn't say much, but the next morning, he returned with a handmade chocolate walnut cake and a note. "You've remembered everyone's birthday, Emmy Auntie. Today, we remember yours." That evening, Rehan posted a photo of the cake on Facebook with the caption, "To the woman who baked happiness for all, may we never forget the hands that fed our joy." The post went viral. Her own children saw it. Her daughter called, voice trembling, "Emmy, I'm so sorry. I don't know what we were thinking." Her son arrived at the door with roses, whispering, "We thought you didn't care about birthdays." Emmy smiled with tearful eyes. Mothers pretend not to care, but we always remember who remembered. Next January 17th, the kitchen was filled with laughter, balloons, and 3 cakes. Emmy didn't bake a single one. She just sat at the table, smiling, while her children sang, "Happy birthday to the one who never forgot ours." Friends, sometimes the strongest people are the easiest to forget because they never complain. But even silent hearts need love. Don't wait until a stranger reminds you to remember the one who made you feel at home. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, and share with someone who deserves to be celebrated. Don't forget the hands that baked, served, and waited, because love that's quiet is still love. Subscribe to Stories That Shine for more emotional, true-to-life stories.
The beauty of peace. Tucked between the snow-capped mountains of Kashmir, there lies a place so beautiful, it feels like a dream painted by nature itself. Pahalgam, the Valley of Shepherds, a land where rivers sparkle like silver threads, pine trees sway like poets, and peace lives in every corner. For years, this valley welcomed everyone, travelers, dreamers, children with wide eyes and bigger hopes. A family arrives with bags, smiles, and excitement. The little girl, Anya, runs to the riverbank. It was here, on a sunny morning in Sadordas, April 2025, that 9-year-old Anya stepped into the valley with her parents. They had traveled from Mumbai for a peaceful holiday, unaware that this valley so full of life would soon echo with cries. The darkness approaches. Far from the laughter, in the shadow of the hills, something else was moving. Men with guns, men with anger, men with a plan to destroy peace. Silhouettes in military clothing descend into the town, Locals begin to sense something is wrong. And then, in a moment, everything changed. The sound of gunshots tore through the valley. Panic swept the streets. People ran, screamed, hid, unsure where the danger came from. The tragedy. The day Pahalgam cried. That day, April 22, 2025, became a day of mourning. 28 lives lost. Fathers, mothers, tourists, children. People who came to find peace became victims of hatred. Anya, alone behind a wooden fruit cart, shivering, calling for her father. A kind local woman finds her and hugs her tightly. Anya was found hours later, her little hands cold, her voice barely a whisper. Her father had been injured shielding others. He survived, but many did not. Aftermath. The valley's silence. Pahalgam, the valley that once sang with joy, now cried in silence. But in that silence, something powerful began to rise. The people of Kashmir, the real people, stood up. They didn't divide. They united. Hope. Light returns to the valley. In the days that followed, love poured into the valley like sunshine after a storm. Volunteers traveled for hours to help. Strangers became family. And a message spread, clear, simple, and loud. Terror cannot defeat unity. Hate cannot silence humanity. Anya and her parents left Kashmir days later, but her words stayed behind. Anya looking out the car window, whispering, "One day, I'll come back and I'll bring more friends because this place is still beautiful." A tribute and a call. We tell this story not to spread fear, but to share truth, to honor the lives we lost, to remind the world that peace needs protectors. Pahalgam cried that day, but it also stood tall. And in its pain, it gave us a lesson we must never forget. Evil may strike without warning, but kindness rises like the morning sun. Unity is stronger than fear. And even when the valley cries, in its people, its spirit, and its soul still shine with light. Let us be that light. Let us protect what's good. Let us never forget those we lost. If this story touched your heart, like this video to honor the innocent. Share it to spread peace and awareness. Subscribe for more stories that awaken hearts and open eyes. Because sometimes a story isn't just a story. It's a reminder that even when the valley cries, the world must listen. Sometimes what breaks you lifts you higher. He let go of the string, and everyone thought it was over. But what happened next shocked the whole town. Meet Ibrahim, a 12-year-old boy from a quiet village, who loved only one thing more than anything, flying his grandfather's old kite. It wasn't just a toy, it was a memory, a bond, a legacy. But on the day of the village kite-flying competition, a sudden gust of wind snapped the string. His dream soared and vanished. Everyone laughed. Some said, maybe that kite was too old. Maybe Ibrahim wasn't strong enough. He walked home in silence. That night he sat on his rooftop, tears in his eyes, and said, "Why did you let it go, Allah? I just wanted to make Grandpa proud." Just then, something appeared in the sky. A speck, no, a shape, gliding back. Toward him, a man from the next village had found his kite caught in a tree. He repaired it and brought it back, saying, "This kite brought my son out of his sadness." It reminded him of joy. "Thank you." Ibrahim smiled. He lost a string, but gained a story. He lost a kite, but lifted someone's heart. Maybe that was the real win. Sometimes what seems like a loss is actually a higher plan. The string may break, but the dream still flies. Trust the wind, trust the timing, trust Allah. Have you ever lost something that came back in a better way? Comment, "I trust the plan," if you believe every setback has a reason. Like and share this story to remind someone that their broken kite might just touch the sky. Once upon a time, in a peaceful pond surrounded by tall grass and singing crickets, there lived a little green frog named Freddie. Freddie wasn't like the other frogs. while his friends leaped across lily pads, raced across rocks, and splashed in the cool water. Freddie sat on the same little log every day, watching them with wide, nervous eyes. "What if I fall?" Freddie would whisper to himself. "What if I miss the lily pad? What if everyone laughs at me?" His friends called out to him. "Come on, Freddie, it's fun, just try." But Freddie would smile nervously and shake his little head. He was afraid. Days passed, and the pond was filled with joy, laughter, and splashes. But not from Freddie. Then one bright morning, something happened. A loud quack quack echoed through the pond. Freddie looked up and saw a tiny yellow duckling, fluffy and frightened, stuck on a slippery rock in the middle of the big pond. The other animals gasped, "Help! I'm stuck! I can't swim back!" All the frogs looked around. The current was too strong for the duckling to paddle through. Someone needs to jump out there. But no one moved. Freddie's heart started to race. "I'm scared," he thought. "But that little duckling is even more scared." Freddie took a deep breath. "I'm going to do it." Splash! Freddie jumped off his log, his very first leap. He landed on one lily pad, then another. Then another. "I'm doing it, I'm really doing it," he shouted joyfully. With one final bounce, he reached the rock. The baby duckling looked up at him with watery eyes. "Hold on to my back," Freddie said bravely. With gentle hops and careful leaps, Freddie carried the duckling safely back to shore. All the frogs, birds, turtles, and dragonflies cheered. "Freddie, you were amazing. You're our hero." Freddie smiled the biggest smile he ever had. "I didn't know I could be brave until I tried." From that day on, Freddie was the first one to leap, the first to laugh, and the first to help. He still felt a little nervous sometimes, but he never let fear stop him again. So friends, courage isn't about never being afraid. It's about jumping forward, even when you are. So remember, brave little frog, courage lives inside you. Just give it a little jump. If you believe in bravery like Freddie, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring tales. In a small, vibrant neighborhood lived a 12-year-old boy named Ayan. He loved football, video games, and spending time with his friends. But something inside him had started to change. He wanted to become better, to do the right things, to get closer to Allah. But his friends, well, they weren't on the same path. Ayan is with a group of boys in the park. They're laughing loudly, teasing someone, and throwing wrappers on the ground. First friend said, "Come on, Ayan. Skip Salah today. We're gonna play PUBG all afternoon," second friend said. "And then prank that old uncle again. Remember his face last time? Hilarious." Ayan chuckles nervously but looks uneasy. Ayan laughed with them, but his heart wasn't in it. That night he sat on his prayer mat feeling a deep emptiness. Ayan whispers in dua, "Ya Allah, I want to be better. Please guide me." The next day at school, Ayan notices a boy sitting alone reading a small book. His name was Omar, quiet, kind, and always respectful. He wasn't popular, but there was something peaceful about him. During lunch break, Ayan sat next to him and asked, "What are you reading?" Omar smiled and replied, "A hadith book. I like learning small reminders. They help me in daily life." Ayan asked, "You don't hang out with the others?" For which Omar replied, "I try to be around people who help me get closer to Jannah." Those words hit Ayan like a wave. Closer to Jannah. He'd never thought about his friends like that before. A few days later, Ayan's old group invites him out after school. Friends ask him to skip the Quran class today and go to the mall. No one will know. You're not turning into one of those goody-goody types, are you? Ayan hesitates. Then he sees Omar walking to the masjid holding 2 prayer caps. And in that moment, Ayan made a choice. Ayan firmly replied, "Actually, I'm going to the masjid with a friend who reminds me of Allah." He walks off, joining Omar with a smile. Later, Ayan and Omar sat under a tree after Salah. "Omar, I'm glad you came. You know the Prophet said, 'A person is upon the religion of his close friend, so let one of you look at whom he befriends.'" Ayan, thoughtfully, replied, I used to think friends were just for fun, but now I know they shape who we become. From that day forward, Ayan stayed close to friends who helped him grow. He smiled more, respected his parents more, and felt closer to Allah with every step. So friends, remember, your friends are mirrors. They reflect who you are and who you're becoming. Choose the ones who bring you closer to the light. Choose friends who remind you of prayer, of patience, of kindness, and of Jannah. In life, the people around you can either lift you up or pull you down. Just like Ayan, choose a friend like Omar, someone who reminds you of your purpose, of your values, and of the beauty of Islam. Because in the end, a righteous friend isn't just a companion, they are a path to paradise. If this story touched your heart, like this video, share it with someone who needs a reminder, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that inspire your soul. Let's build a community of light, one story at a time. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum. This is Zara, a bright, kind-hearted girl with the biggest imagination. But lately, her heart feels heavy. Why? Because she has worries. Big ones, small ones, all stacked up inside her. Zara draws worried faces on pieces of paper. One reads, "What if I fail my test?" Another says, "What if I lose my friends?" Zara didn't know what to do with her worries, so she built a wall. She tapes each paper onto her bedroom wall. It grows bigger and taller. Maybe if I hide behind this wall, I won't feel so scared. But the wall didn't help. It only made her feel more trapped, more alone. One day, Grandma walks in. She sees the wall and sits beside Zara. "My sweet Zara, every brick on this wall is a worry you've given power to. But what if you could tear them down?" Zara whispered. "But how?" Grandma replied, "that with action. You don't fight worries by hiding, you face them one by one, with something stronger. To courage." Zara looks at one paper that says, "I'm scared of the dark." That night, Zara turned on her nightlight and stayed in her room. The next morning, she tore that brick down. "What if I mess up my school play?" She practices reading out loud to her stuffed animals, brick ripped down. One by one, action by action, the wall began to disappear. Zara is smiling more. The room looks brighter. Only a few bricks are left. "I'm not worry-free, but now I'm not afraid to try." And guess what? Zara kept a few bricks only to turn them into paper planes. Because even worries, when faced, can help you fly. So friends, worries don't have to block your path. With action, support, and belief, you can tear down your wall too. If this story helped you smile or feel a little braver, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more heartwarming stories every week. Together, let's build a world full of kindness, courage, and happy endings. It was the final week before exams at Al Noor Academy, and the tension in the air was so thick you could almost cut it with a knife. Among the nervous faces was Zaid, a 13-year-old boy known for his quiet nature and average grades. Zaid wasn't a bad student, but this time, things were different. His father had recently lost his job. His mother worked double shifts just to make ends meet. Everyone in the house was stressed, and Zaid felt it too. But what really got to him were his father's words just a week before the exam. "Son, if you can score above 90%, maybe we can get you into a scholarship program. That would really help us." Zaid nodded silently, feeling a strange knot in his stomach. He wanted to make his parents proud. He wanted to help. But the syllabus was too much, and he wasn't ready. The night before the exam, Zaid sat in his room surrounded by textbooks, his eyes heavy with sleep. That's when his friend Aman sent him a message. "Bro, I have the question paper. Got it from a cousin who works at the school. Want it?" Zaid stared at the screen. His fingers hovered over the keyboard. For a few seconds, he thought about all the consequences. But then, he thought of his father's tired eyes and mother's worn-out hands. He typed back, "Send it." Zaid walked into the exam hall with his heart pounding like a drum. The paper was exactly as Aman had sent. He breezed through it, finishing early. His hands trembled, not from nervousness, but from guilt. He didn't look at anyone. He didn't smile. He just sat there waiting for the bell to ring. 3 days later, the principal walked into their classroom, her face stern. "We have reason to believe that someone in this class had access to the question paper before the exam." The room fell silent. "If anyone wants to come forward, now is the time." Zaid looked around. No one moved. His palms were sweaty. Aman sat still, eyes fixed on the desk. The principal added, "We have tracked the source and we already know 2 names. Zaid's heart sank. That evening, Zaid was called into the principal's office. His parents were there too, he confessed. The principal suspended him from the final term. The scholarship, gone. His father didn't speak a word on the way home. His mother quietly cried in the back seat. Zaid had never felt more ashamed in his life. Weeks passed. Then one evening, his father called him to the prayer mat. "Zaid, I was angry, but I'm proud of one thing. You told the truth. That's the first step of a man who wants to grow. Allah sees the heart, and maybe this was a lesson you needed." Those words struck deep. From that day on, Zaid changed. He studied harder, not for marks, but to truly learn. He helped his mother with chores and volunteered to tutor younger kids in the neighborhood. People noticed. A year later, he took the exams again, this time with integrity, no shortcuts, no cheating. When results came out, Zaid had scored 92% on his own. The principal congratulated him personally. "You didn't just pass the exam, Zaid. You passed the test of character." Zaid stood in front of his class during assembly, sharing his story. "I cheated once and I was caught. But being caught was the best thing that ever happened to me, because it taught me that honesty doesn't just make you a better student, it makes you a better person." Friends, always remember, that honesty is the best policy, because it builds a future you can be proud of. Welcome to our Story Corner, where every tale teaches a treasure. Today's story is about a clever little fox and a big lesson on true kindness. So sit back, relax, and let's begin. In a quiet jungle full of chirping birds and rustling leaves lived a clever little fox. He was fast, smart, and just a little too full of himself. He loved playing tricks on others, not to hurt, just for laughs. One sunny day, he saw a tall, gentle stork flying overhead. "Aha!" chuckled the fox. "Time for some fun." He called out cheerfully, "Dear stork, join me for lunch tomorrow. I'm cooking something very special." "How kind of you, fox. I'd be honored." The next day, the fox laid out a delicious-smelling soup in flat plates. The fox slurped it up easily with his tongue. But the poor stork, with her long beak, couldn't even taste a drop. She tried her best, poking, tilting, but no luck. Still, the stork stayed calm and graceful. "Thank you for the invitation, fox. Perhaps another time." And off she flew. Hungry, but not angry. The fox rolled on the ground laughing. Fox started laughing. "Oh, what a silly bird." Days passed. One morning, as the fox trotted near the edge of the forest, snap, a hunter's net fell over him. He struggled and twisted, but it was no use. All the other animals ran away in fear. Fox started panicking. "Help! Somebody help me, please!" Suddenly, whoosh, a shadow flew down. It was the stork. Without a word, she stepped forward and began pecking at the ropes with her strong beak. Bit by bit, she freed the fox until, pop, the net slipped off. Fox was breathless. You came back for me, even after my trick?" Stork smiled and said, "Sometimes kindness is the cleverest thing of all." The fox lowered his head in shame. "I'm sorry, Stork. I used my cleverness for tricks, but you used yours to help." From that day on, the fox changed his ways. He still stayed clever, but now his cleverness was full of kindness. He helped the squirrel find nuts, guided lost ducklings back to their pond, and even brought food to the stork. In a tall jar, of course. Kindness is the smartest trick of all. The fox learned that being clever isn't about fooling others. It's about helping them. So remember, when you're smart with your heart, everyone wins. If you liked the Fox's change of heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories with big lessons and even bigger hearts. Spread kindness. One paw at a time. In a quiet little village where the birds sang and the river whispered secrets to the wind, lived a boy named Zaid. Zaid was curious, the kind of boy who asked why the sky was blue, where the stars go during the day, and how dreams are made. But there was one thing Zaid never stopped thinking about: time. He was always in a hurry, rushing to school, rushing through meals, rushing to finish his homework, just so he could rush to do the next thing. He kept checking his wristwatch like it held the answer to life itself. One afternoon, while wandering behind his grandfather's old shed, Zaid stumbled upon something strange buried under vines and dust. An old clock, but not just any clock. This one was grand and tall, with carvings of stars and crescent moons etched on its frame. But the strangest thing? It had no hands. "That's weird," Zaid whispered. "How can it tell time without hands?" He dragged it inside and showed it to his grandfather, a wise man with kind eyes and a soft smile. "A clock with no hands?" His grandfather chuckled. "Ah, you found the clock of presents?" Zaid raised his eyebrows. "The what?" His grandfather leaned in. "This clock was never broken. It was built this way. On purpose." "But why?" "Because sometimes," the old man said, "we don't need to know what time it is. We just need to know that we're here. Now. Alive. Breathing. Feeling." Zaid didn't fully understand. Not yet. The next day, Zaid tried something new. Instead of rushing through breakfast, he closed his eyes and actually tasted his food. Instead of sprinting to school, he noticed the butterflies, the trees, the rustling leaves. In class, instead of counting minutes till recess, he listened, really listened to what the teacher was saying. Days passed, and something began to shift. He laughed more. He smiled wider. He felt lighter. One evening, Zaid sat beside the old clock, watching the sunset paint the sky in gold and orange, and suddenly it all made sense. The clock doesn't need hands to be useful, he thought. It reminds me to stop counting moments and start living them. He no longer feared time slipping away, because he realized every moment was a gift waiting to be unwrapped. We spend so much of our lives chasing time, worrying about tomorrow, regretting yesterday. But sometimes the greatest gift you can give yourself is the power to pause and just be. Like Zaid, let's learn from the clock with no hands. Live now. Breathe now. Be present. Because the real magic happens not in the past, not in the future, but in the moment you're living right now. If this story touched your heart, reminded you to slow down, like this video to show your love, share it with someone who needs a gentle reminder. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that inspire your soul. The curious case of the clock with no hands reminds us, time isn't running out. It's waiting for you to catch up. Have you ever made a mistake and ended up creating something amazing? Well, meet Rami, a young boy with a big heart, a messy kitchen, and a spoonful of imagination. This is the story of Rami's rainbow recipe. Rami loved baking with his grandma every Saturday, muffins, cookies, and the fluffiest cakes. But this Saturday, Grandma had a cold and said, "Why don't you try baking alone today?" Rami's eyes lit up. "Me? Alone?" "Yes, sweetheart. I believe in you." He rolled up his sleeves, tied his apron, and got started on Grandma's famous vanilla cupcakes. Rami tried to remember the recipe by heart. Flour, eggs, sugar. Was it 1 teaspoon of salt or 1 tablespoon? He mumbled, "Uh-oh." He spilled flour, cracked eggshells into the bowl, and accidentally added blue food coloring instead of vanilla. And just when he thought he had it under control, he sneezed. Achoo! A whole rainbow of food coloring bottles tipped over into the batter. Rami gasped. The bowl looked like a swirl of paint. He stared at the mess. "Oh no, I ruined everything." He looked at the oven, then at the messy bowl. But what if I don't throw it away? What if I just try? So he poured the strange rainbow batter into cupcake trays, set the timer, and waited. Ding! The oven chimed. Rami opened the door slowly, and there they were. Rainbow cupcakes. Fluffy, vibrant, and glowing with every color. He took a bite. Wow, these are actually delicious. Rami took the cupcakes to his grandma. She took one bite, smiled wide, and said, Rami, these are better than my recipe. He beamed. I messed up everything, but it turned into something new. By the next week, kids from school, neighbors, and even the local bakery wanted to try Rami's rainbow recipe. So friends, sometimes the greatest recipes, the most magical ideas, and the best memories come from our biggest mistakes. Rami learned that day. Mistakes aren't the end. They're just the beginning of creativity. Have you ever created something amazing by accident? Tell us in the comments. If this story made you smile, don't forget to like, share, subscribe for more magical stories that spark young hearts and imaginations.